to another live session today through DogSpot. We have a very special guest today. We have a Bowen Therapy practitioner, Nisha Jaggi. Nisha is based out of Gurgaon, and we are very happy to have her with us. Hi, Nisha. How are you?
Hi, Karan. Thank you for having me.
Nisha, you have been you're a practitioner of Bowen Therapy. Let's wait for people to join in first,
Sure.
and we'll give a few shout outs to some of our regulars. And hi, Sandeep, how's it going? And let them come and join us, and then we'll get into it. So hold on a bit. Let's
Okay.
wait for more people to join us. Uh, Nisha, you've been doing, before getting into what exactly Bowen therapy is, you've been doing this for the last few years, 3, 4 years, I
Yes,
believe.
yes. 3 years.
You're welcome, Joel. Joel, where are you? Please, guys, please write in where you are logging in from. Joel Bhatti, thank you for the session. Thank you for being here, Joel. We are happy to be able to provide all the information we can, especially to our to our pet parents. It's always great to be able to interact with everybody. Hi, Amrita. Born for dog. We are gonna describe that. We have Nisha Jaggi here. Amrita, she is an expert. She comes very highly recommended. I did a session a couple of weeks ago with animal and nature communicator Manjari Latte, and as it turns out, she told me last week to have a chat with Nisha, and then even our founder Rana. Rana also knew about Nisha. She's very popular in the fraternity and in the industry. So a lot of people have been asking for Nisha to come in, and we are very lucky to have her with us. As it turns out that she is right here in Gurgaon, so I have been thinking about sending and setting up an appointment with Nisha myself. Nisha, just hold on. We're gonna just give a couple of shout outs. Hi, Ravi.
Yes.
Praveen, please hold on to your questions. You're talking about paw infections and hydromitis. Let's wait for our specialist, maybe a vet, to come in and please ask those questions. Nisha specializes in Bowen therapy. For those of you who know, can you guys write your answers of what exactly Bowen therapy is for all of you guys who know? Saloni, can you please put that in right now? Uh, Ritwik Barol, buy a dog. Oh, it's, Manjari Latte is here with us. Manjari, please, we're very happy to see you here. You have recommended Nisha, and it so happens that we have her. Thank you so much. Nisha, you know Manjari, I believe, right?
Yes, of course. Hi, Manjari.
Can you talk about your experience with Manjari?
So I had heard about animal communication, and what happens is that when you get into an alternate healing path, you always tend to explore for more, and communication was one of them, but somehow I've not been able to take it forward because it requires a certain kind of commitment and time at the end of from the communicator. But with the existing kind of work that I'm doing, I just could not give it that kind of time. So I had to, sort of get away from it. But I'm still in touch with a lot of my communicator friends. I keep recommending my clients to them, when we are not able to sort out any issue which is not physical, but, maybe something to do with anxiety or some other issue that. And also, having said that, I do feel that we have been able to get certain kind of diagnosis, not like a diagnosis per se, but a little bit of idea of what the dog is going through physically. My own dog was diagnosed with kidney stones, and which I came through through a communicator. Then I got an ultrasound done, and then I took it forward from there. So yes, it helps in my work as well. Sometimes I get stuck, so I do take support from communicators as well.
Manjari, thank you so much for all your service. And we have been speaking to other communicators like Manjari before. Manjari unfortunately was stuck in the United States. Hopefully, she's
Yes.
able to figure out a way back from Portland. She is in one of my favorite cities in America, one a beautiful place. Hopefully, you've been able to come back. As we wait for more people to join in, Musarat, my wife, is talking about cows. I don't know if Bowen therapy is.
No, that's bovine.
that's Bowen, but
Yes.
maybe we can ask the rest of our viewers to give their suggestions and their opinions about what exactly today's session is. It's a bit of a surprise, guys. Hold on, and we will have a fantastic session today with Nisha. And for everybody else who's joining us, please do tell us where you are writing in from. We had a viewer in from Uttarakhand. Hope everyone is doing well over there. Ankit, who is asking us if about genuine dog breed. We have experts every day, Ankit, who answer questions about the right breed and the correct breed for your particular requirement. And even if you do require a breed or not, please join us, and we have future sessions with these experts. This is probably not that session today, but please stay tuned. We have some very valuable insights that are going to be shared by Nisha. We have more people. We have Kamaini Bhardwaj, who seems to know you, Nisha. She's
Yes, she's a communicator and a friend.
Vaini Bhardwaj, we're happy that you joined us, and Nisha is here. You're right, you're talking about healing hands, and that has a little bit to do with Nisha. She uses Nisha. You know what? Let's not wait any longer. Let's talk
All right.
about Bowen therapy. What exactly is Bowen therapy?
Basically, Bowen therapy is a physical therapy where I work on the dog's body. It is, in simpler terms, it's got to do with the soft tissue. So if
Okay.
I were to call it, it's a soft tissue massage. But we usually don't use the term massage when it comes to Bowen, but it's just that it's easily understandable for people. And for example, if I'm working on the dog's body, I'm basically maneuvering the soft tissue. Now, the
Okay.
soft tissue is the skin which is right under our skin, which is called the fascia in scientific terms. And
Yes.
fascia, with over years, with arthritis, with injuries, or with the illnesses, it becomes tight for us as well as the animals. So all the pain sort of gets contained in the body. That's why we start having these symptoms of mobility issues and pain, etc. And
Uh-huh.
when I maneuver the soft tissue, it actually releases the pain.
Okay.
So it's got to do with that. And for example, I'll just explain it by example, is that, for instance, if a dog were to come to me for an issue like hip dysplasia. Now, hip dysplasia is sort of like a genetically predisposed issue, etc., etc.
We have, as you say, describe it. We have Rohan S, who's asking about dysplasia, hip dysplasia.
Yes,
So
yes.
it's great that you're speaking about that.
Yeah. So, when I start working with the dog who has that, I will not only focus on the hip or that area, which is, I will take the body as a whole, which Bowen actually, I think, which is the most amazing part about this therapy, is that you take the body as a whole. Because if there is weakness, or there is a lack of mobility in the hind leg, it could be that the shoulder, it could be the shoulders which are getting overused. The spine is sort of taking the pressure of lack of mobility and pain. So you release the whole body, because eventually what will happen is that the other stronger parts of the body will also start getting weak. So you need to take care of the body as a whole, because sometimes when clients come to me with their dogs and they'll say, okay, my dog has an issue in the hind leg, and they'll see me working on all over the body, they'll probably they somehow get little that what is she doing. So I always explain that I will take care of the entire body, and most of the times we are not even aware that because of hip dysplasia, the shoulder is actually hurting more than the area which is actually of pain. Like, the hip could be the area of pain, but it's actually the shoulder which is showing more.
Wow.
So it needs to be released.
So it's like, you rightfully said in your description that it's a holistic practice, and
Yes, it is.
it affects multiple points in the dog's physical and even emotional. We have a partner who's talking about you're capable. Yeah, you're one of the only people who's capable of emotional and physical healing. Obviously, there are different facets of emotional healing. But
Yes, so what, even though in Bowen we don't really highlight it as a point that, okay, it is good for emotional release. But for example, if the dog is holding on to, a lot of pain, could be because of any sort of illness or degenerative issue, the dog is not going to be happy or himself the way they're supposed to be. You'll probably see that they don't want to go for a walk, they don't want to play. Even a thing like, jumping on the bed, they are hesitant to do. Or so That's where the emotional release and the happiness basically comes when you start
Absolutely.
doing therapy on a regular basis.
So basically, the more physically able a dog and just to let you know, guys, maybe Nisha can answer this question. Bowen therapy is primarily for animals, or how? What exactly is the background of Bowen
No,
therapy?
so originally it was by Tom Bowen, hence the name Bowen Therapy. And
Okay.
in about 1950, he had, I think, originated, and this comes from Australia basically, on humans. And on animals, basically, it's only been about 25, 30 years. Mostly practiced in Australia, largely practiced in Australia and in UK and Germany.
Okay.
And so, even the US, actually, the West also is not so aware.
Uh
And
huh.
so yes, so this is how it's originated from the humans, but now largely used for animals, all sorts of animals. In fact, small animals and horses. And uh, and in fact, in Germany, on the on the race tracks, they actually have a Bowen therapist that,
Wow.
in between races, for to release the horses of any sort of discomfort that they've had.
I find that fascinating because about 2 3 years ago, I really got into sports running,
Hmm. Hmm.
and I was going to this institute where that could help me with my running form and what have you. As part
Hmm.
of that, they had these two different sections in there in the facility. One was strength training, and the other
Hmm.
was myofascial. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Yes, yeah. So these are all, like, terms that are
Yeah.
used, myofascial, and
So,
so
so I would imagine Bowen therapy is a version of that,
yes,
and
yes.
they specialize and they said that for any top performing athlete or a human being, even an amateur athlete or even an
Hmm.
amateur person who's interested in this, one of the
Hmm.
main things is recovery, and I
Yes, of
would
course.
imagine this is a form of recovery,
Yes, it
the
is.
kind of therapy you get.
So I have a whole lot of pet parents who have now realized that even if their dog doesn't really have an ongoing issue,
Uh huh.
I'll see their dog at least on an average about twice a month, just for an
Okay.
upkeep.
Wow.
So for instance, if we were to go and take a massage, or we were to go to the spa and take care of ourselves, and we would probably feel better. It's the same way. So it's the mindset is changing. Initially, I was struggling a lot even to explain what Bowen therapy was, when I started work. But yes, of course, people are becoming more and more open to the idea of taking on alternate for their dogs, which does not only mean Bowen, but a lot of other things as well.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so
We have
because
Radhika here who's asking us, that's kind of further to what you actually already mentioning. Is it a
yes.
permanent relief or is it a temporary relief? And I would imagine, and what other things that have to be done along with it?
So it all depends on how far out we are at a particular issue. If we are talking about arthritis, or we are talking about a certain kind of physical deformity, it depends on how. If it's a young dog, I would say that minimum 5 sessions I need with every dog to see some kind of results. If
Okay.
it is an older dog and he's arthritic, or there is a certain kind of issue that he's facing, then yes, after those 5 sessions, if I see a good amount of improvement and I get a good feedback from the pet parent, I would say, okay, let's see him at 10 days. If he's able to sustain for 10 days without much issue, then I'll increase it to 15 days. So every dog and every body is different. It's very
Uh-huh.
difficult to put a timeline, okay, 5 it is, and beyond that I don't need to see, because there are certain issues you will always have to maintain and manage.
What is the time frame between sessions?
1 week.
So basically, you see, like you request your clients to come for a minimum of 5 sessions. You
Yeah,
feel that,
on a
and you are
weekly
able to
basis.
on a weekly basis. So that means over a
Yes.
5 week period, you'll
Yes.
be able to properly diagnose and probably start with the effective treatment. When I'm going to talk
So,
about
Karan, I can't diagnose because I'm a therapist. I'm not a doctor.
okay,
I'm not a
uh-huh,
veterinary or practitioner. So for
uh-huh,
me, now with experience, yes, once the client talks to me and gives me a few symptoms, to an extent, in my head, I know what could be. But I always want diagnosis from the vet, and that
okay.
is when I will take it forward. And unless, they've already been diagnosed and they said that, my dog is arthritic and has this kind of an issue. But if there is something more involved, like, a disc issue or a nerve compression, so I always prefer, and I'm always in touch with the veterinary doctors, usually sometimes to get a better understanding of the issue.
So you always recommend. So that's, I mean, there's also these ethical parameters over here, and it's great that you mentioned it because you're not a medical professional. You would always recommend to your client that please go get your dog checked up by a vet. And then come back with the reports and or what have you, or if there is an existing issue, they probably know about it, and you come and consult with that. That's the number one thing. You're not going to diagnose, as you correctly.
No, I will not diagnose.
That's the right way. That you will work with your clients, with the animal, with the pet, and you will first talk to a vet. Do you suggest vets also to your?
If somebody will ask me, yes, of course, my own vet is my favorite. So I'll always say that you please go to them. But I don't. Also, being in this fraternity, after a point, you do know vets. That is the kind of knowledge you have. So yes, I do recommend, but of course I don't have favorites as such. So
fair enough. We have a very on these lines we're getting a lot of questions, guys. As a request, we've been doing this for just 1 minute. I'm just going to get back to all your questions and we'll get back to Nisha. Guys, as we at DogSpot have been doing this for over a couple of months now since the lockdown. We have a live session every day. We have one tomorrow, we have one day after with experts across different fields. Please stay tuned. But as we move forward in this, can we request all of you guys to please share this with people you may know in different groups? We're doing this live right now. Somebody can benefit with this. We all have dogs which are going old. We all have dogs which may need some help, some therapy. If you guys know people who Bowen Therapy or even Nisha Jaggi's services can be of benefit to, please share this session. It's just a click of a button, guys. It goes a long way for us, and it can also be of benefit to someone else. Thank you so much. Coming back to Vipul's question, many boarding clients ask, I guess he runs a boarding facility. How do we know that dog needs Bowen therapy? Since most vets may be unaware of this, what are performance indicators to understand on recovery? And is it only in aged dogs? And can this be helpful for young pets as well?
So, now I'm seeing dogs as young as 6 months who are coming with an issue of hip dysplasia or some kind of degenerative changes, which is very sad because, they are so young. And but, initially when I started out, it was mostly I was recommended for, dogs who were little aged or, very old. But now it runs through anywhere from 6 months to 15 years old. So it is for all dogs. It all depends on what is the requirement. And, and in India, we don't have performing dogs. Like we don't have working dogs as such. So, it's a little difficult. So working dogs would need more, like maybe at a 5-day gap. But because we are, our dogs are mostly pets, so we can manage at a 1-week gap.
At longer intervals.
Yes. And sometimes eventually I will get it up to about 10 days, but some people personally prefer it at 1 week because they see their dog, active and happy. So, but mostly I do increase the gap eventually.
So, Amrita is also asking a very similar question. Is it only for old dogs or dogs?
No, it's not. It's for all age groups, I would say, at this point of time now with experience.
So no, also, I think she's also asking this question: is it only for old dogs or with dogs with injury? Is it a preventative as well?
Yes, it is a preventive. Like I said, because there are certain kind of dogs who I'm just seeing as a thing for their well-being. They don't really have an issue. I have dogs like that as well. But because like I always feel that our floorings at home are one big reason for dogs to start degenerating earlier, like because our pups will run, our dogs will run, and obviously you don't want to stop all that, and we don't all have a facility where we can take our dogs and make them play outside, etc. So those kind of injuries can be prevented. even if there is an injury, the recovery will be faster. So, for
Okay.
instance, if a dog is suffering from, I won't say suffering, but has like an issue, and has had some sort of pain after an activity, the
Uh-huh.
recovery is much faster without a painkiller, because the body has sort of now learned how to, heal itself. So,
You know,
I am,
Nisha, we keep talking about this. We have some of your clients who are actually adding it in. This is Kamini who's saying right now that you got her dog off painkillers and
yes.
increased the dog's mobility and energy levels. So, hats off to you, and
Thank
it's a
you.
testament to your
So,
ability
as a
also.
therapist, when I have dogs, I don't really look at goals or mode. Obviously, I want all of them to feel well, but my number one is to get them off painkillers, because Bowen is a natural pain relief therapy, I would say. So, if they're off painkillers, for me, that is a success.
Uh-huh.
Supplementation, yes, they will go
Yeah.
on. I will never stop the supplements, but yes,
Okay.
painkillers, even a good vet would not want long term for their dogs to be on painkillers. That's why, hence, I get recommended by vets,
I think it's
because
a
they,
great time to ask this question about the difference between and give examples. So I would between a painkiller and a supplement. In this case, a supplement would somebody for a hip dysplasia would be glucosamine. I would imagine.
yes,
Uh,
these glucosamine, chondroitin, and these sort megaflex, and these are the kind of things
yeah,
that you're usually given. And
yeah.
a painkiller would be something like a carodil, and things like that. And we all know, even from our own experience, and painkillers don't support, it's not good for the kidney, it's not good for the liver in the long run. Yes, SOS, if it is required, even I will tell the client that, just if you feel the need, just give it at that point of time. But
Absolutely.
yes, I would say 90% of the dogs that I'm dealing with are not on painkillers.
And obviously, this is all, as we had mentioned before. This is in conjunction with a veterinary expert, a vet, and
Yes.
you are only helping in pain relief. Our aim is not to replace or to make painkillers a daily part of the dog's diet,
Yes.
and there's a big difference, as you already mentioned, between painkillers and supplements. Supplements are
Hmm.
required, maybe required. Painkillers are maybe an emergency, or maybe
Yes,
for a
SOS,
few
like
months.
yeah.
Absolutely, it's a very
Hmm.
short duration, and the entire aim is to be without painkillers as much as
Yes, yes,
possible. And
yes,
that's what it.
absolutely.
We have Rohan who's asking us: is it a form of physiotherapy? Is it similar? What's the
So
difference?
it doesn't come under physiotherapy, because physiotherapy, you are a medical doctor who's doing physiotherapy, and
Okay.
we as therapists don't come under the medical board as such.
Uh-huh.
But I would say, and also physiotherapy, sometimes it's done on a daily basis, like, you'll be called on a daily basis. This is done
Uh-huh.
at a gap. So that's the biggest difference between that. So I would actually say that this is like I said, it's a soft tissue
Yeah.
maneuver massage or whatever, not physiotherapy. But yes,
Fair.
I do provide a cold laser therapy, which is a machine. So
Okay.
that I would call physiotherapy, but I would not call Bowen therapy as physiotherapy.
Okay, so that's a separate skill set altogether that you
Yes,
would
yes,
also engage in. But
yes,
for the purpose of today's session, which is on Bowen therapy, that is not
yes,
a
not
part.
at all.
Okay, and we also have another client of yours, I would imagine, who's a partner, who said that you've been able to help her dog toddler, who's 7 years old, and with especially,
Who was 7 when I started. He's 10 now.
and and he doesn't miss a single appointment.
Yes, he doesn't.
That's a testament uh, to your skill set. Can you take us, as we're going to answer more questions, guys? Please, guys, remember, please share. Thank you for sharing, Kamaini. Thank you for doing so. Can you take us through a typical session? How long do they last? What exactly? How do you start? And what exactly do you do?
So usually it obviously starts with a phone call, and we'll have that conversation regarding whatever the diagnosis is. I always make sure that I ask about the temperament of the dog, because sometimes even the friendliest dog can be snappy if I touch their pain points.
Uh-huh.
And that's just for my own information. I don't really use it in any way, and mostly most of the pet parents are able to handle their dogs, even if they are a little snappy and, whatever. And then I fix an appointment. I work from home on appointments. And a session can last anywhere between 35 to 40 to 50 minutes, depending on how the dog is. First session will always be a little, jumpy, and they'll be little, because they don't know. This is the first time they're getting it done. But mostly I've not had an issue. They usually settle 20 minutes into the session, because they do get that, sort of relief or relaxation, and they do realize that we are not on a vet table. So, that is something which is, I think, goes well with them.
I mean, no, my dog Pasha, he would be your ideal client. He loves getting massage. He spends most of the time asking my wife Musarat or me for massages, and he loves it. So there is a fine line, between indulging the dogs and actually pain relief, if any.
Yes. So this is like a 2-in-1 sort of a thing. So
absolutely. We have Vipul again, who's asked us, what is the relationship between the Bowen therapy and diet and exercise?
So my standard question with people is that, what kind of diet are they on? What is their activity level, etc., etc. And so majority of the dogs, at some point of time, they do need to lose weight. So that is something that I'm always working with my clients, that, reduce their food. And I'm not a nutritionist, but, whatever little I know, I'll always say that, give them home cooked food, or give them a lot of vegetables, and cut the carbs and the usual stuff. And, but otherwise, I always am aware of what the dog is having as their...
Nisha, what I'm also getting is that you work with medical, as we already mentioned 3-4 times before, is that you work with the vet. We also, you probably, and people who are coming to you are already consulting a vet, and they probably, if the dog is overweight, then they probably have a nutritionist or the vet has suggested something. And you also have an expertise, because you've been doing this for quite a while.
Yes.
You are able to come up with, as mentioned before, a holistic approach towards pain relief and therapy for the dog.
Yes.
So you're in that position, but you do recommend a vet to answer questions on diet.
Yeah, and most of the vets, like, whoever I converse with, they are also, they obviously want so many times the weight is such a issue, because of which, the mobility or the pain is there. And, so that is a priority even for them and for me, that, that has to be done. And once the weight starts coming down, there is a lot of change. The receptiveness to the therapy will be much, faster. So, if the dog is not able to balance himself because of his weight, however much I may work on him, how will he walk? Like, it's something, so it's something that, so there are a lot of areas that need to be worked on together.
We had said yesterday that my wife hosted, who was again talking on something similar, and she with the expert, and she was saying that one of our rewards in India, especially in over here, is to, and maybe all over the world, in fact, not just India, but our rewards is to overfeed our dogs. And that's something that that is not only that's also true for human beings. So that may be something we all need to acknowledge and figure out. If you are feeling happy, you give your dog treats. If you are, or if you want treats, and maybe I'm guilty of that as well.
No, I think I've done it also. Till I became a therapist, I was a regular pet parent, who didn't know so much. So, even to that extent of what the flooring could do to them. Yeah. And
hold that thought, Nisha. We'll talk about flooring again, because that's very important facet of your.
Yes, it is an important facet.
And we will talk about that. We have Manjari, who has asked this question: do you only work, with dogs, or what are the spectrum of animals you work with other than dogs?
So, as far as canine Bowen therapy goes, it's for all small animals. I obviously work on dogs. I can work on cats, but I've not been approached as yet. And I know that abroad they are using for even their farm rabbits and goats, etc. And it is done on horses as well, equine horses, which I am trained for, but I don't practice over here. And so yes, it can be literally used on any animal.
We have Rachel Bean who's signing in, and she's a veterinary nurse from UK. Rachel, please write in the comments if you have you've heard of Bowen Therapy, and if you have you put it into practice in England? We have Musarat who's asking about my dog Matli. He has seizures. Now his legs have started giving out. He's 7. Could Bowen be effective on it?
Yes.
Another part that she missed out.
Absolutely.
He's slightly overweight also, Matli, not slightly.
So like I said, you need to start working on his, weight management for sure. And yes, with seizures, see, the only thing is when it comes to seizures, Bowen cannot treat them. But yes, the gap between the seizures can be increased. Also, the recovery post a seizure, because the body does go through a lot of shock post a seizure, and maybe when he was younger, when he started out the seizures, you would have seen that he's recovering faster, he's jumping around immediately, he's going for his food or water. But as he'll become older, his body will start becoming weaker, even though 7 is not really that much of an age according to me. But because he goes through these episodes, the body is becoming weaker and weaker. So with Bowen, yes, the recovery is much, much better. The muscles are taken care of. The weakness in the muscles and the joints that sets in, that can be released, and it does help. Because I do treat a lot of dogs who have seizures, but not for the seizures per se, but because just to manage them.
Yeah. I think when I told Musarat about this last week, she was very eager to have even though I think we kind of put it in that you can't help with the seizures itself.
Yes, I cannot.
Basically, no one can help with that. I mean, people haven't figured out why the dog gets a seizure. We partly gets a seizure every month during full moon, and and we find it strange. But you're absolutely right. His recovery is becoming slower now. And he has trouble walking because of probably the contractions of the muscle are so extreme when he's getting them, and the seizures are so violent. It's scary, but we've been dealing with it for the last 5 years, and we all pray that the dog is fine, Matli gets recovers fine. He does, but it's becoming slower, and we will as Vipul has said that he's referred so many clients to you, 15 plus clients. And they're all very happy. So it's something maybe we are considering right now, and we will take it up offline, Nisha, with you. You were talking about other animals, and you mentioned, I remember that you have worked with Friendicoes.
Yes. So, my association with animals has always been there in the sense dogs per se as pets, but even when I was in school and college, always was with Friendicoes, either collecting funds for them. I've, at one point of time, like you, I was an avid runner. So I had done it with my running group, collected money with them, did a small running event, collected a few lakhs, did about 500 sterilizations. And did that. Right now, presently, again, so there is this, it's not an NGO, but it's these girls they are volunteers called Evergreen Breed. They again are collecting funds to sterilize 100 females. And the sterilizations will be done with Friendicoes, and I have just helped them collect funds again through my wonderful clients who always support me.
So, guys, for more information, can you repeat that again, Nisha? What was the name of the initiative?
Evergreen Breed.
So Evergreen Breed. So guys, for everyone who's more interested, you can contact Nisha, especially for her services or for this endeavor. This is her Instagram handle, Revive with Bowen, or her phone number. She's available. Guys, please contribute. Nisha's up to great things. All the animals all around need as much help as they can get.
Yes.
And it's a great initiative. Friendicoes is a great place. The reason actually I brought up Friendicoes is because I had, I visited their facility in December in Old Gurgaon. They have a huge facility, and they have, I believe, they have over 200 horses or something that they rescued over the last 3-year period. Some police retired police horses, and some polo horses or race equipment. And I would imagine your services would be of great help over there as well, if you've had the chance to visit that facility.
Yes, sometimes I just feel, first of all, they are very far. Secondly, this is a weekly commitment. Like this session has to be done on a weekly basis. I have worked with, with Karma Foundation, where I have gone week on week for their paralyzed dogs. But as work has grown and I am not able to sort of move around much, but if somebody connects with me for any of their dogs who are could be a streety, could be not necessarily a pet, I am more than willing to help any dogs who, if they can get them to me. And that doesn't have to be like their own pet. It can sometimes, so many times I've treated dogs who are just your colony dogs, or you are feeding them and they've got hurt, and so I'm always willing to do that. But yes, for me, physically going now has become a challenge.
I can imagine, because you're also busy, and yes, unfortunately, the Friendicoes facility is fairly out of. I mean, it took me an hour to get there in December. It might be slightly better now with with the less traffic, but it's a fantastic service, and it breaks your heart to see so many dogs over there. We have a lot of people talking about pedigree dogs, and there's a lot of activism about adopting dogs off indie dogs, and I'm all for it. But what broke my heart was that I saw over 300 or 400 pedigree dogs that had been abandoned, mostly golden retrievers and Labradors. Tomorrow we have a session hosted by my wife and my mother on golden retrievers versus Labradors. But one would be surprised to know that they are one of the most abandoned dogs out there, in addition to indie dogs. And nowhere else has that been a reality than Friendicoes. It breaks your heart to see stuff like that.
Yes, absolutely. Sorry, please go ahead.
Yeah, so Radhika is asking a question on Bowen Therapy, and you just mentioned that about animals in stress, and you did mention right now about people getting in animals off the street for
the general well-being. But having said that, if she were to just connect with me and say, my dog is under stress, I would not say, okay, you get him for Bowen Therapy. I would try to sort of probe why it's happening, what is the trigger, so there'll be few questions that will go along with that. But this would not be something that I'll say, okay, your dog is stressed and you get him to me. I would not straight away recommend that. I would probably say, okay, go the other way, get him checked. Maybe there's something physically not okay. Maybe we can go via a communicator to figure out what's happening. And then, work around it.
So it's one of the benefits of Bowen Therapy is stress relief, but it is not. I mean, the major benefit is
So this is a feedback that I get from my clients. And now that I'm sharing it with you, is that where they feel that their dog has become happier. He's become something that he used to be. So this is something that is a feedback that has come to me from some my clients after using Bowen Therapy over a while. This is something that I have not put it. This has come from experience to me as well.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, we've spoken at length about Bowen Therapy, and we'll speak a little bit more about that. You have dogs, Nisha?
Yes, I have 2 dogs. I have a Dashian Rusty and I have a Beagle Lucy. Lucy is, my Dashian is 7. And my Beagle is 4. She was already a year when she came to me. So we are assuming she's 4 because she was a rescue. So, so I have 2 of them.
Do you spend a lot of time practicing on your dogs?
Yes, they get weekly sessions. Also because my Lucy actually came with a lot of health issues, which I would have anyways adopted her, whether I knew about her issues or not. But she was a practice ground for me, I would say, because 2 months into being with us, she had got IVDD, which is a intravertebral disc disease, which is like, for instance, if we were to get a slip disc and we would be put on bed rest, it's the same in dogs. They actually become temporarily paralyzed from their hind legs when they get IVDD. And so was she. And so you have to put them on crate rest, and there's a whole veterinary procedure which you have to follow. But because I was doing Bowen and laser on her side by side, her recovery was very, very quick. And hence that I actually got a lot of recommendations from my vet, especially for IVDD. Like sometimes I do feel that I have sort of specialized in IVDD.
Wow.
Because I've done so many cases and successfully the dogs are walking, which is amazing. For me, if a dog comes, maybe, how do I say, in a sheet and not walking, And in the second, third, fifth session, I see them walk into the house. So for me, that is like it's a difficult feeling to explain. It's just, and I just love the therapy. That's what, it's amazing.
I can imagine. I mean, if the animal, if your pets are comfortable and they're happy, that nothing lights up the room as a happy animal
Yes. Yes.
or a human being. Tell me, okay, we have a lot of requests. Rana has been asking us, and Shrishti has been asking us, can we see Rusty and Lucy? Are they around?
Oh, they have gone for their walk right now, but
Well,
I'll
guys,
try in the
hold on.
next 10 minutes maybe.
Yes, so they will be coming back in next 10 minutes. Also, we have a little bit of a logistical problem. We have Nisha on her phone. If she moves around too much in
Yes.
her apartment, you'll have to stare at me because we might lose her on because of sketchy internet.
Yes,
So
yes.
we have been quite lucky so far. A lot of our experts, Nisha, vets, trainers, and a lot of other people have mentioned about the ill effects of floorings, and we touched on about this before. Can you speak about how does the flooring of your house directly affect the animal?
So I think majority of our houses has either marble or some sort
Yes,
of vitrified tiles or whatever. Which even if you were to see yourself, you will find yourself slipping sometimes. So
absolutely.
the grip, the dogs don't get a grip. Even running actually would be better for them in the sense like they'll feel better. But if they are walking, you'll actually
Uh-huh.
see either one of the legs slipping here or slipping there while they're trying to get up, and if they're on the
Uh-huh.
floor you'll actually see sometimes that it's not happening at once, and that will become more apparent as the dog will age. You may not see it in a young dog, but if a young dog is running around on a slippery floor, for instance, and then they are just falling here and there, we find it cute, but we don't realize that we are actually injuring them long term because their bones are so soft. For puppies, they are soft till about 9 months to a year, I believe. They still haven't formed properly. So, and if we make them run on hard surfaces, they can actually have some sort of degeneration which has set in, or some sort of injury that has set in, which is not, we will not be able to see at that point in time, but as they grow. So if you want to make them run, I think a soft ground like a grass is better, if that is an option for people. So flooring is something that I have realized, and people have agreed with me that the dogs do have trouble getting up, especially on marble and vitrified floors. They're the slipping, the grip. So I'll always say, "Acha, put a mat or put some sort of a." Most of the dogs are not comfortable with socks, so even though they are available, but I personally have never been successful with my own Lucy also, who also keeps just, even though I don't have these two floorings, I have a concrete flooring, but still on that, she will keep slipping a bit. So yes, flooring is a big, big issue as far as, the beginning of degeneration that happens. So I would say don't have activities on that floor. Don't,
Actually, what about when the dog, unfortunately, Pasha's here and he's on a vitrified tiling right now, and we kind of keep figuring out how to place mats in different parts of the house. For the dog, it's also hot right now, so there's
Yes,
that.
so they don't want to be on the mat. Yes.
They don't want to be in the mat. They don't want to be in the
Huh.
kennel, and or the carpet for that matter. We have a carpet in
Hmm.
a certain area of the apartment. But
Hmm.
are there places? So would you suggest that the animal or the dogs or the sleeps on the tile or on a mat?
So even if they want to sleep on the tile, and I know it may not be practically possible at every given point of time that he's trying to get up and one of you is around to help him up, like in
Uh-huh.
the sense. But I would just say that maybe while trying to get up, if he is struggling to get up, you could probably place a mat, or like an anti-skid something sort of, which gives him traction basically,
Yeah.
under his legs or, his paws.
Yeah.
We can't tell them to sleep, where if they don't want to. But yes, while the movement of getting up is happening, we can definitely help them
Is it
with that.
only for the move? Is it only at the time of getting up, or is it also like the way they have pressure on their joints when they're sleeping, or
Uh,
would
that no, I don't think so. Actually, with the certain kind of issues that probably have set in the body, they figure out what is most comfortable for them, which may not be the best for them. like, certain kind of postures or whatever, which eventually when I start working on them and I start resetting their body, they will sort of come, for even for something like, dogs don't sit square. If a dog has hip dysplasia, the one hip will be on one side, they'll have one leg under them. So that is one of the earliest signs to figure out that the dog may develop his hip dysplasia or already has it. So these sort of things, the body is readjusted with Bowen, and sometimes, most of the times, dogs do end up sitting square again because they are also feeling comfortable. They'll make postures which are best for them. They don't understand better, right? They just want understand, yeah. So so it helps in that, but you really can't control how they sleep. You have to just let them be.
You in the market, you get a lot of these orthopedic beds. I mean, I have, we have to put the AC on, or we have to keep it really cool in the day for the dog, Pasha or Mati, to actually sit on the bed. I mean, right now, I think it's fairly cool in the house right now because of the air conditioning. But Pasha sits on the floor right now. So, I mean, I can have him sit on the couch, but he'll do that for 5 minutes and he'll go down. So
he'll get down,
But would you
No, I do
say...
recommend orthopedic beds, and this also has been a feedback from my clientele who've been using it actually for and for severely arthritic dogs. I do feel it's really helpful. And so if somebody will ask me, I'll definitely recommend it because, a very soft mattress and all may not be good for the spine, the same way. So sometimes I use the logic what I would use for myself, so it's just, I would just go from that point and maybe suggest something.
Fair enough. We have Radhika who's asked us, how does one learn and how does one get into Bowen therapy?
So Bowen therapy, you have to have learned a few modules of human Bowen therapy, which is a prerequisite to learn canine Bowen. And human Bowen therapy is available in India. That's where I've learned. But the college is associated with Australia. And then you can, so nobody's teaching here the canine Bowen. You will have to travel abroad, either to Germany, UK or Australia. And but you will have to learn human Bowen initially, at least start that, and then.
How long is the course for humans?
So I finally got certified in about a year because these are modules. This is not like continuous study. You do few modules, then you do some practicing hours, because it's all work with your hands, right? So you have to basically get your hands working, and then you can. So I actually initially thought that I'll just do a few modules and I'll just go for the canine. But the time and the money that I'd invested in human Bowen, I decided to get certified. And so that took me a year. And then post that, I went and did my canine Bowen.
Okay. Interesting. Tell me, Nisha, Bowen therapy is one. Even though we won't speak too much about it, you did study with Manjari and you did a little bit of animal communication, even though you don't pursue it. You did speak about Bach therapy, Bach flower therapy, I believe, right?
Yeah, Bach flower. It's actually Bach or Batch, you can pronounce it however.
I'm sorry, I don't know the correct pronunciation for it, but you batch, as you said. And what else do you do?
So I do Bach flower remedy and I do Reiki healing, which is energy healing, and then for animals, that is also for humans as well. And these are what I realized is that a personal realization that the physical can manifest into the mental and the mental can manifest into the physical. So you have to take care of the mind as well, which is not only for humans, it lays true for the animals as well, because sometimes we have dogs who are coming from a rescue background. You have dogs from abusive families, so or even for instance if you've adopted an indie. Now, I believe, I could be wrong, that an indie has a DNA which is different from a pedigree. Anxiety is just there. Even if you've got the pup as, you've adopted the pup even at a month or, even younger, 100% of the indies that I've seen will face some sort of anxiety issue.
Okay.
And Backflood there has been working, and I have a lot of dogs who I actually recommended to. Some dogs are getting Bowen done, as well as doing backflow remedies. So backflow remedies basically take care of all your psychological issues. It could be anxiety. Some dogs are fearful of thunder. Some dogs are fearful of men in particular. So those are highlighted issues that we can sort of subdue. So that's where
with a bit of subdue to subdue
with
the
the
dog.
with those
Okay.
kind of highlighted issues, like I said, that
Ah.
any sort of anxiety that they could be suffering from.
Okay, okay. So, I mean, did you speak a little bit about energy healing also, or
Yes,
like?
so Reiki is also has been quite successful with animals. I'm certified, animal Reiki practitioner as well. So that is something which works really great for my distance healing. I have dogs like who I heal in Bangalore, Bombay, etc.
Yeah.
So that works really well. But having said that, with Bowen, I know that post 5 sessions, 7 sessions, I know that this is the result I will get because it's
Okay.
scientific. There is science behind it. Now,
Uh-huh.
as far as energy healing goes, I'll always ask the pet parent that do you have the faith in it? If you don't have the faith, it will never work for your animal. So here, the idea of faith is number one priority for me. And with Reiki or with energy healing, I cannot say that this will be the result. We are always taught that healing will reach where the body requires the most. So
Absolutely.
that's how it works. But
It's
animals are receptive, extremely receptive,
uh-huh.
and I've seen great results with the Reiki. Sometimes I get surprised myself. So for
Fantastic.
me,
We have, it's very similar. I think we have. You were speaking about dogs which are petrified of men. My dog Muttley, my wife who rescued him for the first year, he used to be scared of me when he came over.
hmm,
He thought I
yeah,
was harm him because he had a tough puppy,
hmm,
and
yes,
he was not treated well in his before my wife rescued him. So
hmm,
now he's kind of warmed up to me. He is because he's a happy dog. He's a happy
hmm,
dog, and we are happy to give him a home, and
hmm,
he's part of our family. But it's just that there you go. The psychological issues that are faced by animals are real,
yes,
we need more people like you to help us first understand our dogs, because
yes, yes.
it's not easy. It's a complicated process.
Also one thing which is may not be really, but I do feel that, nowadays we are trying to humanize our dogs quite a bit. We
Uh-huh.
have to realize that they are animals at the
True.
end of the day. You have to give them that freedom
Yes,
to
true. I
be that.
completely agree. Completely agree with that.
Did you lose me there? Yeah? No.
No, no, we can. I can
Yes.
hear. Can hear you. You're talking about the
Yes.
importance of letting animals be animals, letting dogs be dogs, and I
Yes.
think all of
Yes.
us who love our dogs too much can humanize them. I'm guilty of it more than ever,
Yeah.
but there is the
No, so
balance.
am I. I'm not saying that I'm not. But yes, I do feel that somewhere if you do give them the space to, if you just let them be, also especially during lockdown, I've had a lot of issues where suddenly the dogs who were not so anxious are showing symptoms of anxiety, and are behaving in a certain new kind of things that they were not doing.
Uh-huh.
That also has come from the point that, first of all, they are not used to seeing their pet parents all the time, especially people who don't work from home.
Yes.
Secondly, if you are in a particular kind of job, for instance, small instance, if you are on a call, office call, you could
Uh-huh.
be in a certain kind of a frame of mind. Your dog is around you. Dogs do tend to catch on to your stress. So they are also getting very anxious with the kind of, also with a lot of over attention. You need to give your animals, your dogs, some space. You don't want to be just petting them all the time, and just because so it's difficult, but it is good for their well-being as well. You have to just let them be as well.
No, I completely agree, and it's a process. As I already mentioned, we need people like you. We need different specialists. It's a whole new world, and as we are getting, we have so many viewers who log in, and they're obviously here because they're interested. They are curious.
Hmm.
They want to know more. And we have so many people who come and ask DogSpot, where do we get a good trainer? And or they call me up and they ask me, you know dogs, and I say, I don't know dogs. I'm still figuring it out. I've been amongst dogs for the last 37 years, 38 years, and I still don't know them. And I'm
Yes.
still figuring it out. Yes, I may know of certain things, and I can help you with that. But the best I can do is put you in touch with specialists, and
Yes, yes.
and that's what is more important over here. And we have more people still asking questions, so bear with me, Nisha. We have Kamini who's
Yes, yes,
asking.
of course.
Has the lockdown been challenging for furry kids? So talk about as we're getting out of the lockdown, as out of the restrictions, how are animals adapting to this?
I have actually suggested it to people that, you should start, even if you're home and not still going to office, start increasing the gap between, seeing your dog. Maybe you're in one room or you're in the other, or step out,
Uh-huh.
for some
Uh-huh.
time. And, so just to get them back into that sort of thing. But I do think that most of the dogs are quite fed up of their parents at this point of time. This is the kind of, feedback I've been getting from them. So I think they will adapt pretty okay. Maybe a few days would be, difficult, but I
Uh-huh.
think animals are very adaptive,
You know,
most
the
of them.
first, I think it was 25th, 26th of March. By the 28th of March, Pasha and Matli were completely sick of us, and they would go to the other room by Musarat and I. And they would go and sit and they would lock themselves. They would almost lock themselves in their crates. They said we have nothing to do with them. Now they kind of gotten used to it, and as we are going back to office, as we start getting out of home, I can see a little bit of separation anxiety. And
Yes, yes, yes.
would Reiki and energy healing, would that be able to help the animals deal with that?
Yes, it does. If it is a very, if it's a really something, an issue that you are not able to deal with. If you think it's just a temporary thing, you could give it a few days and then see if
Uh-huh.
it sorts out. If it doesn't, then we can, see either with energy healing or with backflower remedies, either could work. And actually,
Okay.
backflower remedies, if it's a new issue, a very like a immediate issue, it works
Uh-huh.
wonderfully sometimes. Like, within a week or 2 weeks, you'll see that, they're absolutely fine. So it all depends on how far off you are actually addressing the issue.
We had a session with another communicator, Hussein, and he spoke about backflower therapy. Can you just elaborate short, because we didn't really get really into it too much.
Huh.
And
So basically, these are made of wildflowers, and these
okay.
flowers are. It's originated from UK. This,
Uh-huh.
by Edward Bach, and these are basically made of wildflowers. There's nothing medicinal about it. It doesn't interact with any ongoing treatment that is going on. So we have remedies which come in bottles. There are 38 of them. And
Okay.
according to every issue that the dog is facing or the human is facing, it's for both. Uh,
Uh,
you have remedies. So
uh,
because that's how you become a practitioner. So you study, you take, I ask questions. What could be the trigger of something, like maybe an anxiety? Why doesn't the dog want to go for a walk? Is it because of a particular person? So there are certain things that you will go on to and discuss, and then figure out what remedy, and a combination. It could be a combination of 4-5 remedies, could be a single remedy, and then you make that bottle which will last you about 3 weeks, and you give that the dog every day, and it's very sweet tasting. Like, it has no strong flavor, so it's not difficult to give it to them. But the only thing that I do ask my the clients is that please be regular. If you're not regular, no therapy will show results, and
uh,
anything which is alternate will take its time to sort of set in and show
yeah.
the effects.
What is
Don't
like?
be impatient about it.
What is the, like? Let's say, does it depend from case to case, or is that like an effective
Yeah,
treatment?
so like I said, if it's a very recent issue that has developed, the way your dog is maybe having separation anxiety because now the lockdown is opening. So, I would probably give a remedy, and maybe in the 2 weeks you'll say that it's no longer the issue. But if it is a long-term issue where, it could be a dog is like, for instance, if I were to talk about my own beagle who's a rescue, I still make backflower for her, because even though she's settled into a house, she's mostly I would say is a happy dog, but she has her kinks. Somewhere I am not able to understand that, why she gets upset when she does, especially with me. So maybe she doesn't like women, I would assume, because I'm her least liked person and she loves
Really,
my kids. So,
really.
so it's like, so it works on her. I keep continuously giving it to her. Some things become better, then I'll reduce that remedy, then I'll add on something else to her. So, there are a lot of, it's an ongoing process.
Oh, okay. So tell me, coming back quickly to Bowen Therapy, is there like, for a lot of people who may contact you after this session, not that you need because you are very busy as it is, and you have a lot of your clients over here who have been, who are your regulars. Are there dogs which who you won't recommend Bowen Therapy for?
Yes, so I would not recommend to dogs who have cancer.
Okay.
See, having said that, it's not that I have not treated dogs with cancer, but I cannot help as far the therapy cannot help cancer, because the moment I am working on the body, I am actually sending out blood to those cells. I don't
Aha.
want that with
But
therapy. I am
this
yeah,
to,
I don't want to send more life to those
yeah.
cells. But
Aha.
having said that, especially a dog with skin cancer, I would never even ever touch. But like I've had dogs who've had bone cancer, which is just maybe located at one area, like maybe at the shoulder. Because of that, the dog is not walking very well, and obviously there is pain. So that I have helped in releasing, and I have managed that dog for about 6 to 8 months. And but eventually he did, he had to be put down because the cancer had grown so much. But yes, cancer is one area where I would be a little wary of.
Okay, so that would be the only, or and I remember you said lot you can't treat seizures as well,
So
but
seizures, I would not say no to a dog who has seizures, but I would say, for instance, the dog is coming to me tomorrow, day after, and he's had a seizure today. I would like to get a gap in between, because, again, I'm working on the body, I'm stimulating. I don't want that, the seizure, and, it could be that he's not recovered from it completely. It could have taken him 24 hours, it could have taken him 48 hours. So, I want to give him that kind of a gap. So, when it comes to dogs with epileptic seizures, I do try to gap it out nicely between that.
can you we've been speaking for over an hour now, Nisha, and it's fantastic to have you. We're going to let you go through. Can you speak a little bit, just a little bit, about some of your success stories, some of the stories which have been surprising for your clients or for maybe you?
So, for me, Karan, when I
I
start,
have a feeling some of them are over here as we speak, so it'd be good to give them a bit of a
so
shout out.
actually, when I actually decided to do Bowen therapy, I was getting this therapy done on myself as well, because I
Okay.
was injuring myself with all my running and everything.
Uh-huh.
And when I learned human Bowen, I actually practiced on two dogs. A lab who was paralyzed due to severe arthritis, and another dog who had just starting symptoms of arthritis, who are both of them are no more, god bless them. But so Simba, who was my first dog actually who I ever treated, the vet had actually recommended that just put him down, there is no hope. I had met this lady at the vets, and I said that, I am doing this therapy. Let's give it a shot. There's no harm. And this, I'm talking about human Bowen therapy. I had not learned canine at that point of time. So I
Okay.
did a few sessions, and, they started doing hydrotherapy. I suggested that you do it alongside and all. And
Uh-huh.
by the eighth or the ninth session, he was walking. I was still doing human Bowen therapy on him, and he was walking until the day he died. He was active, and that
Mhm.
actually reinstated for me that it is worth doing this therapy. And
Yeah.
that's how I decided to go and study. And I had never thought that I would study so much later in my life, but I think this was tailor made for me. I could have not asked for a better profession.
Okay, that's fantastic. We have Kamani who's also asking to speak a little bit about Oreo. That I think you may know Oreo. Let's give
Yes,
that a
Oreo
shot.
is one case. He's this was IVDD, which has has gone bad. Basically, he'll never walk. We know that it's going to be difficult because he's lost all sensation. But he has recovered from a lot of degeneration, and he is able to stand now for about 15-20 seconds on his hind legs. And so these are small successes, I would say. And I've been managing him for over 2.5 years now. He's a 5-year-old beagle, and his it's slow, but it's steady. So it would be actually my dream that he would walk again. But he's standing, which is great, So
How old is Oreo?
He's 5.
5. And what
Yeah.
what dog is Oreo?
He's a beagle, and he's been now paralyzed like this for about 2.5 years or so.
It's sad. It's sad. It's hats off to you, Kumani, for taking care of the beagle and to bringing the beagle Oreo to Nisha. We have a lot of people. We have some late joiners. We have AK Mithil. It's good to have you here, AK Mithil. You are one of our regulars. Please stay tuned tomorrow. Tomorrow we have a very interesting session of Labradors versus Golden Retrievers. Please stay tuned and join us at tomorrow at 6 p.m. It's hosted by my wife and my mother. My wife, I just mentioned her, she's speaking about her dog Matli. Our dog Matli is going to be coming to you very soon, Nisha. We have Mona Lisa also, who's been commenting. I'm sorry you written a very long comment, Mona Lisa. I won't put it there, but thank you for being one of our ardent listeners and viewers. We're always happy to have you here. Tomorrow our session is on at 6 p.m. Nisha, thank you so much for your time. You are
My
very
pleasure.
popular. You have come very highly recommended. We have been nothing but very, very fortunate to have someone of your caliber on our
It's my absolute pleasure, actually.
and you have convinced me. I will be getting Matli very soon. Once we get offline, I will take an appointment with you over the next couple of days.
Sure.
We'll set something up, and Pasha will just come and say hi to you. Just to let everybody know, before we let you go, you don't do house calls, right? Nisha?
No, not anymore. I have started my work with that, but now with work increasing, and I see a number of dogs in a day. It is very taxing for me to go from one house to the other, because right now, okay, we may not be facing the traffic, but in a regular scenario, traffic is high, and getting into it's quite difficult for me now.
There you have it, guys. It's fair enough. You are also fairly popular, so I would imagine you can dedicate. Obviously, there's a little bit of mental. You have to get into that mental zone, to be able to deliver, and you rather spend that time with the animals than
Yes,
communicate.
and I always say that it's not a one-off thing. It's a weekly commitment at my part. I don't want to say yes to one home visit and then say no to the next one. So I prefer to just make it clear from the beginning. And I always say that you will take your dog to the vet, right, if required. So, and once
Yeah.
a week is very doable. I think
Yes.
it's a very easy way to, manage your dog. I'm not asking you to come every day. Once a week is absolutely doable for anybody.
Well, there you have it, guys. That's right from what Nisha is saying. Please contact her. This is the number on the screen, and please check out her Instagram page, Revive with Bowen. She's there. She's going to help out your animal, your pet. Nisha, thank you so much for taking the
Thank
time.
you, Karan.
It has been an absolute pleasure.
My pleasure, absolutely.
We probably have you again with us very soon. Thank you so much. Take
Looking
care.
forward. Thank
Thank you
you.
guys for joining in. Thank you. Please stay tuned tomorrow, 6 p.m. We'll be live again. Thank you, Nisha. Bye,
Okay.
guys.
Bye. Bye.